Celebrities. Some perceive them as living and breathing mythical beings akin to miraculous appearances of religious deities reported in the folklore of a small village. Some seem to believe that they're people just like us who happen to be hit by once-in-a-lifetime lightning strike that left the scars of luck and talent over their bodies. Some believe they're huge bastions of morality with an ethical responsibility to those who build the platforms they stand on dollar by dollar. And some believe they are part of an otherworldly institution that seeks a global mind control network and is associated with some of the most vile acts committed in human history. Partially true, by the way. But what few people, if none at all, can say is that they don't care about them. Whether you like it or not, culture has always been shaped in a significant way by the figure of the celebrity. I am of the firm belief that culture and politics are directly intertwined, and whatever poison ivy grows and wraps its deadly stems around the political stages of today was previously a simple seed that was able to grow and root itself in a very favorable cultural environment before someone noticed that it could be used to bridge the gap between skepticism towards certain politicians to lure them in by appealing to their desire to form communities based on shared cultural, material, and economic interests. As I write this intro, I'm thinking of that bland-ass Sofia Richie wedding to her mega rich husband, and how her positioning as a queen of quiet luxury and minimalism led to the popularization of trends that have conservative undertones, such as the East Coast aesthetic, the whole tradwife thing, and the clean look, something that former professional stalker and now professional girlboss wife Hailey Bieber also promotes via her brand, Rode. And listen, this is not me having an old man yells a cloud moment. While the majority of disdain from modern celebrity culture does come from boomers, I think that as young people, we also need to look at things from a critical perspective and recognize the ways our favorite people to look at in our Pinterest boards and TikTok For You pages shape our worldviews in ways that are unfathomably subtle, but ultimately played a huge role in shaping political landscapes. I'm not gonna lie, the 2024 United States presidential election still has me thinking on a daily basis and noticing certain patterns. A lot of celebrities participated and engaged in either active or passive way with the campaigns of both candidates with varying levels of positive and negative reception. As culture changes, it bleeds into politics, and celebrities are one of the main bases of that ecosystem, so I wanted to research into the phenomenon of celebrity culture and why it's not dying out, no matter what the several hundred people who make 4 weekly TikToks talking shit about Taylor Swift say, as well as redefining the concept of celebrity and their societal roles. And before we start, as always, I will be giving you the theories and concepts we will use to tackle this topic with, which will be linked down below for you to read and analyze as per tradition. First of all, the dramaturgical theory of frontstage versus backstage by Erving Goffman in relation to the disappearing allure and mystique of the celebrity. Back in the good old days, celebrities had a highly curated public persona, the front stage, where they were exposed to cameras, red carpets, and movies, while the private life, the backstage, remained hidden. In the digital age, celebrities need to perform authenticity and vulnerability to get clicks. This completely shatters their mystique and positions the celebrity as an equal to a normal people, which entitles them to harsh critiques, judgments, and even hate. Second, Perverse Spectators by Janet Steiger, which describes the phenomenon of audiences interpreting media in ways that vastly drift from their intended purpose to validate their own personal beliefs and desire. You know that pancakes and waffles tweet? Yeah, that's more or less what this theory is about. Modern celebrity culture is now dominated by anti-stans, which are people that pick apart celebrities they hate or dislike and spend hours dissecting everything about them, even the most minimal and meaningless interactions or facial expressions to validate their beliefs about them. The communities they form are not based on admiration for the celebrity they target, it's a collective dopamine overdose from being able to share grievances with like-minded haters. Third, Affective Economics by Sara Ahmed, which refers to the monetary and cultural value of shared emotions and beliefs, to put it simply. I think this will best explain the absurdity of moral outrage in celebrity culture, which is highly performative and mostly serves the purpose of virtue signaling the moral purity of a certain person or group, in which the celebrity is scapegoated for a much deeper and complex issue, while the actual problem remains unaddressed, and the buzzwords of cancellation for not speaking out on world issues leads to absolutely zero positive and tangible effects in the real world. I also want you to keep in mind the theory of social spectacle by Debord in mind while you watch, since it's kind of the glue that binds this entire video together word by little word on the script. The link-up of modern politics and celebrity culture is less about policy and more about entertaining the masses, especially in a digital society where short-form content has done cognitive harm to young people's brains. When a celebrity chooses silence on political issues or commits the absolutely deadly sin of expressing their thoughts in a slightly unsophisticated way, the public treats it as a battleground for stand wars, political points, and moral outrage, destroying any attempts of serious political discourse about important issues and turning it into superficial celebrity drama. If we are going to dissect modern celebrity culture, I guess we should start by going back to its origins, as well as defining what is even a celebrity. According to my good friend Wikipedia, celebrity is defined as an individual who receives widespread public recognition due to mass media's interest in them, whether it be by huge wealth, participation in sports of entertainment, positioning as a political figure, or being connected to another celebrity. As individuals, I think we all have some kind of subconscious criteria as to how we deem someone else a celebrity. In his 2020 book, Dead Famous: An Unexpected History of Celebrity, historian Greg Jenner defines it as a unique persona made widely known to the public via media coverage and whose life is publicly consumed as dramatic entertainment and whose commercial brand is made profitable for those who exploit their popularity and perhaps also for themselves. Whenever the Met Gala or any other event of prestige happens, I always see people bitching and moaning on their social media of choice and going on about why are influencers there. We want more celebrities. Babes, influencers are by definition celebrities. Not that I'm complaining about their complaining, though besides the thing they veil elitism and classism. They're helping me prove my point on how celebrity culture is not dying out, but it is being transformed and redefined, as well as what people deem worthy of the label celebrity, which is often seen as synonymous with being part of the Hollywood industrial complex. But celebrity isn't just your Bad Bunnies or your Taylor Swift. They're your Lamin Jamals, they're your AOCs, they're your claviculars, they're your Mr. Beast, they're your Becca Blooms. And I think what some people don't realize is that they're helping fuel celebrity culture by shitting on the very people they don't think worthy of being a celebrity, as well as the fact that the term can no longer be gatekept the way it once was. And I'm not even talking about the celebrities of old Hollywood like Marilyn Monroe, Marlon Brando, or Elizabeth Taylor. In ancient Greek athletics, Stephen Miller mentions that the athletes were welcomed as heroes, had songs and poems written in their honor, and were given free food and gifts from those who sought after their endorsement. Now that I think about it, that seems like the ancient Greece equivalent of getting fanfics reading about you in AO3 and receiving shitty PR packages from companies for you to post them on your Instagram story. Like, they've always been there. Very little has changed. Even Jesus Christ, by definition, would be a celebrity. He had mass recognitions, he had followers, admirers, his own entourage. He was the victim of a character assassination as well as of a literal assassination. But you know what? Let me indulge in obnoxious semantics polish for a second. Yes, you may not think someone like Brooke Monk is a celebrity because she got famous through TikTok or whatever instead of doing something useful. What even counts as something useful? Because if we're talking about the value of entertainment based on her likeness, then yes, she is useful to someone who is looking for something to watch on TikTok after work, and she is certainly very useful for the hundreds of Pinterest girlies that keep reposting all of her photos to get a nice click-through rate. Let's keep talking about the concept of being worthy of the label of celebrity, because if we analyze unnecessarily deep enough, like I am doing right now, you will notice several patterns of what some people's mentality is when it comes to defining who is useful and subsequently worthy. If people want to go by useful things, like actual tangible contributions to society, then Carl Sagan will be considered as a celebrity. Nikola Tesla will be deemed as a celebrity. Gladys West will be deemed as a celebrity. Margaret Hamilton would be considered as a celebrity if we went by the mainstream criteria of needing to have done something useful for society as a collective in order for them to stamp this fabulous label onto you. And yet, they are not, because their useful contributions to society, in this particular case, are not enough to label them as celebrities. Which is quite ironic, methinks, because you can always hear about people diminishing the impact of the arts and humanities, looking down on people who get higher education and degrees in the arts, saying that they're useless degrees and that those who pursue academic paths in humanities should have went for a career in STEM. And then they turn around and open Spotify to listen to their favorite musics, their streaming service of choice to watch a movie or a show they adore, read a book and enjoy their favorite characters come alive in their minds, and experiencing the colors and realism of the newest video game release. People love art, but they hate artists. Which once again is very interesting, because the whole hullabaloo of TikTokers not being deemed as celebrities, but actors and musicians are, but at the same time people look down upon the arts, it's just blowing my mind. I need to see if there is a paradox or theory for this. Some nutcase like me probably has a name for it already, but I didn't manage to find it during my research for the video. Anyway, back to the point. What I'm trying to say here is that the concept, language, and semantics of the term celebrity have evolved because the world and culture have evolved. Before living long enough to actually die as a villain, Julius Caesar himself enjoyed a great amount of recognition in ancient Rome to the point that he managed to get his face on a coin while his heart was still pumping. In the modern day, this will be the equivalent of someone getting their own Instagram filter for the release of an extremely mad album. And what I'm about to say next might be a somewhat microwave oven, past the hot at the center, warm soft, and cheesesteak. Tepid, even. But I genuinely believe the reason people get so bitchy about the level of celebrity is because it won't seem as something aspirational to represent the life they wanted to make for themselves if they just work hard enough. Sort of an American dream type of thing. But the advancements in social media and technology have democratized mass media and public attention to the point that anyone who wins in the TikTok slot machine can achieve some fame if they're conventionally attractive and have as much of personality. It takes away the meritocracy of it all, and with it, the prestige of being a celebrity. One of the reasons people consistently say that celebrity culture is dying is because fame has become too accessible now. Everyone that is on TikTok, Instagram, or whatever can become famous and attract a huge deal of media attention. Let's take the example of this one influencer, the United's friend. This man, also known as Frank Illet, has replaced the Mbappe free kick thing as the best gimmick in football right now. He hasn't cut his hair for over 500 days until the club he supports, Manchester United, wins 5 games in a row. It's evident by the photos that they haven't achieved this. It started out as something that was kept on sports spaces, but as soon as the media got a hold of it, they got the fucking work. He started going on podcasts, streaming, getting invited by clubs, etc. Of course, the tune changed, saying that he was annoying, that he was just looking to seek profits, and that he was bringing bad luck to the club. I think the latter has more to do with Manchester United employing Manuel Garda, but I digress. I think everyone gets the point of celebrity and fame being too accessible now, and that's why they hate them, which, if you'll allow me to be a little too woke, has a lot of classist and elitist undertones, like I said before. I'll provide you with another example, which is this video by #1 Edgar on YouTube about Alexa Demie and the power of mistaken privacy, which I encourage you to watch fully. It's quite short. In this video, the creator explains how Alexa chooses to shield her private life from the public, barely posts on Instagram, and is rarely seen in public. She compares her case to that of Jennifer Lawrence's, who at the time she broke out had revolutionized the Hollywood industry with the radical acts of having a normal weight, making silly gestures, and eating pizza. However, as it is always the case with women who get overexposed, people got annoyed with her act and turned on her. In Alexa Demie's case, because she's very private and keeps a low profile, it prevents overexposure and the public growing sick of her. As a marketing and PR professional, I know very well the importance of having strategies in case this happens. But there is also a need to strike a good balance, especially since in today's digital world, attention equals capital and opportunities. In an interview, Alexa Demie stated that she was considering quitting acting because of her frustration over Hollywood overlooking Latina actresses for leading roles. And while I certainly don't doubt that prejudice and xenophobia towards Latinos plays a role in who gets major opportunities in Hollywood, I believe her lack of social media presence and visibility has harmed her chances, since it is quite known that studios usually hire based on popularity, especially if you're not an established actor. I think it also has to do with, and maybe a hot take, Alexa not being that good of an actress. And even with all these factors colliding, I think Alexa shouldn't find it that hard to find jobs or even be comfortable because technically, she's a Nepo baby. She is the adopted granddaughter of Janice Wilson from the Beach Boys. Her birth name is actually Alexa Demie Wilson Bannerstrom, very fancy, which she later changed to just Alexa Demie in order to either avoid being tied back to her grandfather or to protect her family's privacy. And that's why she has the privilege to quit acting if she wants. She has a safety net. In the comments of the aforementioned video, there are several people glazing her for her attitude towards fame. One commenter wrote, "She has a very vintage vibe celebrity to her, like back when people barely knew anything about celebrities but were obsessed with them. She came into the game already knowing who she wanted to be and it shows. She does radiate who is the new it girl energy." Another commenter said, "The fact that her most famous video is an inside story from a random person is also very telling. Mysteriousness is something that is really lacking in Hollywood, so people eat it up." I mean, if I speak, I'm in big trouble, so let me move on. In those comments, you will find the reason people admire someone like Alexa is because she reminds them of old Hollywood. The good old days where people lacked the access to celebrities they have now and were mysterious. I found the whole mysteriousness thing extremely corny, like grow up, you're not in middle school anymore. But a lot of people who glorified old Hollywood lacked the nuance to understand why celebrities were so silent back then, and the media had it a bit harder to get access to them.
Were you silent or were you silenced?
Yeah, a lot of actors, especially women, were bound to industry standards of code silence in order to prevent any possible scandals. Clara Bow, who was considered one of the greatest pioneers of the silent film era, suffered from psychological issues related to her fame, as well as being attacked by the media for her lifestyle, and was ultimately misdiagnosed with schizophrenia. She died at the age of 60, accompanied only by a nurse. Judy Garland, known for her role as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, suffered at the hands of the perils that being thrown into stardom at an early age brings you. She was consistently overworked, drugged on set, fell into substance abuse, was horrendously treated by the media, and experienced mental and physical abuse at the hands of her husband Sidney Love, with whom she had a toxic relationship. She died alone in a bathroom at the age of 47 from a barbiturate overdose, not long after her last concert appearance. And I get what people are saying when it comes to mystique and celebrities being private, since some of them show up on our feeds every day. However, I want you to keep in mind that old Hollywood was an era where actors were very prone to exploitation because of poor labor laws, there was a major code of silence, and at some point, no-fault divorce was legal yet. If you like those aesthetic, fine, rock with them. But this era was absolutely not good for anyone, and you shouldn't be glorifying it. Oh, and another thing, if you're part of a fandom that drove their fame away by their constant parasocialism, you don't get to complain about celebrity culture while also agreeing that whoever it is that you follow doesn't share anything with you anymore. You set that system up. And I still find it very funny that stands are tiptoeing on the tightrope between vastly self-aware and extremely delusional when it comes to their faves. And it's not only them, by the way. You can hate somebody and still have a parasocial relationship with them. Parasocial relationships born for either love or hate are derived from one of the concepts that I mentioned earlier, the social spectacle theory by Debord. When you combine the commodification of human interactions and connection for mass media fodder, hyper-specific social media algorithms tailored to each person, and everyone's own personal biases, you will always get some of the most idiotic, discombobulated, mind-numbing discourse that's ever been spewed over the course of typo-written characters on social media. It's like hyper-reality, social spectacle, and confirmation bias all had a blunt rotation. While Twitter's lack of any sort of moderation plus the short character limit definitely makes it the worst out of the bunch, it's not like Instagram or Reddit are much better. Reddit in particular is home to snark subreddit, which are spaces where a bunch of losers all come together to hate on someone or multiple someones. Like, I kid you not, there's snark sub for things you couldn't even begin to fathom. Obviously, the r/Travis and Taylor sub is one of the most popular ones, alongside the Ariana Grande one, there's Blake Lively and Sabrina Carpenter ones I think, there's the Timothée Chalamet one, there's a BTS one for F1 drivers, one for New York City influencers, I mean, hate on the transplants all you want I guess, but the one that cracked me up the most is a funny snark sub called r/Doggersnark, which is filled with people ripping Christian fundamentalist influencers apart and telling everyone about their deceiving practice. I'm sorry r/Doggersnark, I wasn't familiar with your game. Carry on. Like I mentioned previously, parasocial relationships are not just the ones where someone keeps worshipping and expressing love in a celebrity. As defined by EBSCO, a parasocial relationship or parasocial interaction refers to an imaginary engagement that a person experiences with a media figure, typically occurring during the consumption of media such as television shows or social media contexts, and are characterized as one-sided emotional connection individuals develop with media personalities they do not know personally. If you spend a lot of time hating on someone, picking them apart, and looking for any clues or hints to confirm your negative beliefs about them, you have a parasocial relationship with that individual, and you are just as obsessed as a Debord fan, if not even more. A lot of people seem to have this idea that hating on someone and dissecting them to find things to bitch about make them critical thinkers. It doesn't, by the way. You can be analytical, you can have critical thinking, and you can practice objectivity without being a miserable cunt. I know that's the case for me, at least. You are not smart just because you're extremely negative and cynical. In fact, you are likely the opposite. If you spend a lot of your time hating on someone and preying on downfall, you lack, at the very least, the emotional intelligence required to realize that you're investing a lot of your mental energy on hating someone, that you're draining yourself and depriving yourself of living your life, and that you can't let this go, no matter how much it's affecting you mentally. And this is part of the reason why parasocial relationships often turn dangerous, because you spend a lot of your emotional and mental energy on them. Anything that creates cognitive dissonance within that relationship can cause your reality to crumble. John Lennon's murder is a prime example of this. His killer was a former fan of his, named Mark David Chapman, who adored the Beatles and Lennon in particular. But as it happens to some fans who experience cognitive dissonance when it comes to their favorite artist, he did not take well to Lennon's multimillionaire lifestyle while LARPing as a hippie and singing lyrics about peace and love. Chapman became filled with anger and bitterness to the point that he actually believed that by killing him, he would absorb Lennon's fame so he could become an influential musician himself. A pattern you will often see in individuals that engage in parasocial relationships is that most of the time they're usually extremely lonely people or folks who are experiencing some kind of form of mental illness and use the form of the media figure they're targeting to cope with that, whether it be by loving or hating. That's why when the cognitive dissonance presents, they tend to react in very visceral ways. This is why I keep telling people to get off of the fucking internet every once in a while. Well, I don't doubt that there might be some government and big tech effort to isolate people from their community, especially with the disappearance of third spaces. It's still up to us to have some personal responsibility and introspection. If you are conscious enough to recognize a parasocial relationship is harming you, don't just stay in your bed rotting with Dorito crumbs on your 2-day-old pizza sauce stained shirt. Do something about it. However, when I say do something about it, I don't mean moral outrage without any further action. I think it's pretty obvious that trying to cancel someone while rage posting about them online to hold them accountable and then not following through by tangible action is part of the reason why leftists aren't taken seriously and can't band together to do something concrete instead of virtually signaling on the internet. Let's take the case of Taylor Swift, hated, adored, but never ignored. In October of last year, Taylor got in a lot of drama after she inflicted her 12th album, The Life of a Showgirl, upon us, with lyrics about not being a bad bitch, getting cancelled, and Travis Kelce's Cannibal Sausage. Not only was the album greatly panned by a great deal of the online community, including a lot of her Debord fans, but she got some quite nasty accusations about the lyrical content and its meaning. Just from seeing the discourse online, you will think this album was designed for a catastrophic first week, right? I'm being sarcastic, of course it wasn't. Despite the criticism about it, The Life of a Showgirl broke 2025 streaming records and also surpassed the record previously held by Adele's 25 album of biggest first week sales. So, where's the floppage? I think this is the best sample of how moral outrage works, or doesn't work, in the case of supposedly canceling someone. While the album caused a lot of negative discourse, the metrics in real life don't reflect that. This album also produced 2 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, The Fate of Ophelia and Opalite, 2 of the few good songs from this album. Later, Rolling Stone also reported that Taylor Swift was supposedly a victim of a smear campaign, and while the article was clearly paid for by her team, just like the review, holy fucking glaze man, I don't doubt there's a level of truth to it. A lot of people challenged this claim, saying that their concerns were being dismissed, and that they were trying to frame their opinions as being artificial, and that they were proudly hating all the album without needing an ulterior motive. This just confirms to me as a marketing and PR professional that a lot of people don't know how bot smear campaigns work. When they happen, the people behind the campaign take a look at a topic that's already been discussed negatively and send the bots to further inflame the discourse and plant even more fake claims for people to rage about. The lightning necklace thing? Seriously? These are very grave accusations that you could actually get sued for, by the way. And you are not intelligence for notice the Snowdenburger, you're just another member of the hype man who got bamboozled by a bot campaign. If the things people discuss in online spaces had any impact in real life, Sarah Larsson will be selling out stadium tours and winning Grammys, while Taylor Swift would have been sent packing to the key asylum with a Vegas residency. And yet, none of this has happened. Why? Because if you can't walk the talk, if you can't follow your outrage with tangible action in real life, then your opinion isn't worth shit. Taylor Swift's downfall has begun. I've been hearing this since the release of The Tortured Poet's Apartment, and it got even louder with the release of The Life of a Showgirl. All I'm gonna say is good luck with booking that stage you speak of. You really think your little tweets, TikTok videos, and Instagram posts can match up to the power of billion-dollar corporations? That your moral outrage will move a hair on the wrinkly balls of a powerful music CEO like Lucian Grage? Make it make sense. And you know what? Your online hate has absolutely no effect, Because even if you hate the album or the person, you're still tuned in. You're still streaming the album, you're still participating in the discourse, you're still watching the music videos, you're still looking for hints and clues and giving exposure to Taylor Swift. Like she said in her Saint Low interview, no matter what your opinion on her album is, if you're talking about it, you're helping. And this is not only about Taylor Swift if you notice the patterns. A reason why a lot of leftists online are divided and why most of their efforts fail is because they can't organize properly to take a solid course of action. You can see this with kitchen sinks boycotting lists for social movements that aren't verified by the organizations themselves and are used to spread misinformation and drive hate for someone who collaborates with a brand. You can see it with the constant moral posturing and disagreements about who is the most righteous person. And of course, and I'm sorry if you get offended by this, a lot of you are spineless little bitches who can boycott anything to save your lives. You can even pirate media, which is not only the easiest form of boycotting, but also saves you money. You just yearn to suck the corporate dick, and that's why you can never achieve anything. While you get angry online about a lyric, Taylor Swift is laughing all her way to the bank with her billions made from sweatshop merchandise and unethical business practices because you can't still stop paying attention to her no matter how much you allegedly hate her. Sucks to be you. To begin closing off this wild ride of a video and being that serious my brain is fried, I'm gonna share this quote from Debord's comments on the Society of a Spectacle. The spectacle proves its merit by its custom-made production of commodities for the justification of an undesirable society. For the spectacle, what is good is what appears, and what appears is what is good. Writing these videos always makes me learn a lot about myself in the process, which is why I deeply enjoy making them. But in the end, it is my product that I'm selling to you on this app, so I do dearly hope that you have learned or realized something about yourself from it as well, even if what you realize is that you have a parasocial relationship with a TikToker and now hate me for making you come to terms with it. I wouldn't be mad if you did. After all, it does help improve my view count, reach and click-through rate, even if it may tank the AVD. Which, if you think about it, sums up this video pretty well. In the current media landscape, attention is capital, no matter what kind it is. The careers of the people you engage in parasocialism with can be thriving or they can be close to being killed, but they can also be undead, not like a zombie, but a vampire, feeding on whatever energy they can get. This video was a learning experience for me, but my mission is that more people realize that hating on whatever is trendy at the moment, or a celebrity of your choice that you think is responsible for the planet's problems, is not helping you or helping the masses, it's helping the faceless people of the 0.1% who wouldn't mind you dropping dead from a stress-induced stroke if it meant a single click that helps them earn money. If you think you are destroying the image of someone, I'll hold your boss with my soft hand when I say this, you are only feeding the monster. In the kingdom of the spectacle, an insult is as good as a crown, and your TikTok think pieces and subtext essays are the blood and oxygen that keep the courses moving. This video is a part of my investigation and dives into the nuances of the issues our society faces through a critical lens. My goal with this channel is using my background in communications to provide as much information and analysis as I can for reflection and change. If you are interested in continuing this investigation into cultural and social dynamics and value research that prioritizes sociological rigor over the hot takes economy that plagues social media at the moment, I invite you to subscribe and join the archive. For further documentation, deep dive essays, articles, and some of my more personal thoughts and musings, you can find my extended work on my Substacks, which I will link down below. This has been a Meme Archive entry. Thank you for your time, and I will see you in the next video.